Hello everyone, this is Goosebumps Godzilla, and today I'm going to be comparing the two Valentine's Day Goosebumps books, and basically I'm going to be ranking them. And so those two Valentine's Day Goosebumps books are the 52nd Goosebumps book, How I Learned to Fly, and the second Goosebumps Series 2000 book, The Bride of the Living Dummy. And so yeah, let's get into this ranking video. And so there's not going to be, I'm going to try my best not to do spoilers, because it's really comparison, not a theory, so you don't need spoilers to do it. So, not going to be saying that much spoilers, but one of these books is incredibly uneventful. So, I'm really sorry about that if I get too far into spoilers, but the one book that I'm going to be talking about is incredibly uneventful. And so, yes, as I said before, I may get too far into the plot, but I won't totally spoil the whole entire book. But that book that is incredibly uneventful is the 52nd Goosebumps book, How I Learned to Fly. How I Learned to Fly is really not that great of a book. Just writing-wise, it's okay writing-wise. It's not a masterpiece like My Harry's Adventure, for example. That book has the weirdest plot, the weirdest twist, a whole lot of weird things. I kind of enjoyed it, but the best part about that book was the writing. The writing was perfect. That saved the entire book, and unfortunately, that is not the case for How I Learned to Fly. So basically, the plot for How I Learned to Fly is that the main protagonist has a crush on this girl, and so does this other kid named Wilson. And so basically, they're competing for the first 25 pages with nothing happening. And so, I found that very boring. I get it, sometimes it takes a little while for the plot to be built up. But in Goosebumps books, they always have, diversions, so you won't be bored. They always end in a cliffhanger. Kind of like in Night in Terror Tower 1, a little cliffhanger that I've always remembered is that, while nothing supernatural is going on, the main protagonist takes a picture of her brother, and then it says, "That would be the last picture I would ever take of him with his camera." And that one really stuck out to me, and I actually thought the main protagonist's brother was going to die. And so that was really, really interesting. I really like that, all those little scary endings to the first chapter. And that never happened in How I Learned to Fly. It's just really uneventful, boring, nothing happening for the first 25 pages. Not even a little scary twist at the end of the chapter that makes you want to read the next one. It's just nothing. And that really, really gets on my nerves, because one of my favorite things about Goosebumps is the fact that each chapter ends with a cliffhanger, so you have to keep reading to know what's going to happen. And that one just totally betrays that. And I hate the fact that there's a love interest in this one, because Goosebumps does not have love interests at all. This is the only one that really puts it as the main part of the plot. Sometimes there is, but it's one sentence, boom, pretty much never going to talk about it again, except for this book. And that's what I really don't like about it, is because it's so unlike Goosebumps in a bad way, and I don't like how it pretty much takes over the plot for the first 25 pages. So after those first 25 pages, just basically it shows the main protagonist being very upset because Wilson keeps beating him and everything. So he goes inside this abandoned house and finds this book that teaches him says it teaches him how to fly. So he grabs the book and learns how to fly, and so eventually does someone else. And basically the rest of the book is pretty much fame being a bad thing, I guess you could say. The bad parts of about being famous, and that's the book. That's How I Learned to Fly, is after the first 25 pages, and then maybe a couple of chapters later, it's talking about the fame and how it's bad and stuff like that. The bad parts about being famous, and that's literally the entire book. And it's so uneventful. I just did not like it. Definitely in my top 10 worst, probably top 5 worst, because nothing happens. It's not scary. It really does nothing, and there's no sense of urgency. Like, there's really no reason why you want to keep turning the page other than you want to finish the book. That's like the only reason I think I would have finished this book, is because I wanted to finish it, and I kept hoping there was going to be some really scary part or something. Like, I get it, the cover art's a little weird, but they have those evil seagulls, and it sort of made me think like, oh, the kid's going to be attacked by seagulls, or he's going to turn into a seagull or something like that. None of that happened, and it was just downright, boring, and I just did not like it at all. The reason this is classified, in my opinion, as a Valentine's Day Goosebumps book is, first off, because of the love interest, and it just so happens to have been published in February, so I strongly believe this was made to be a Valentine's Day Goosebumps book just because of those two facts. But in a rating of 1 through 5, I would probably give this one, being generous, probably a 0.5 out of 5 stars. That's 0.5 out of 5 stars, because it's really, really not that great and incredibly not entertaining, in my opinion. And so next, let's talk about the second Goosebumps Series 2000 book, and the second Goosebumps Valentine's Day Goosebumps book that we have, and that is Bride of the Living Dummy. So the reason this one's classified as a Valentine's Day Goosebumps book mainly is because of the title, Bride of the Living Dummy, and the fact that it was also released in February. So due to those two facts, I strongly believe this was made to be, a Valentine's Day Goosebumps book. And overall, I actually kind of like this story. There was no romance between Slappy and Mary Ellen, the doll, or something like that. I'm so happy about that, because I really did not want that in Slappy book. Like, Slappy's sort of like this heartless fiend that does evil-ish. I mean, yeah, pretty much that's Slappy. So I don't really see how Slappy, would have a love interest in any Goosebumps book. So I'm glad they steered clear away from that. And it was actually pretty entertaining. It was sort of like your average Night of the Living Dummy book with a few twists that I really, really enjoyed to the story. And so basically, the story's about the main protagonist. I think her name's Jillian, and so she has these two bratty sisters that are obsessed with this doll named Mary Ellen. They constantly, Mary Ellen needs to comb her hair, and, they need to give Mary Ellen a seat in a movie theater or something like that. They're just obsessed with the doll. And so the main protagonist really doesn't like this and constantly gets annoyed by it. But anyway, she and her sisters go to this ventriloquist act show by Jimmy O. James or something like that. And of course, Jimmy O. James is doing a ventriloquist show with his old pal, Slappy. And so, they're doing the show. One thing leads to another. The main protagonist is given Slappy the dummy. And so, that happens, and the average stuff ensues. Stuff starts happening that's bad, and stuff starts being wrecked. So near the end of Bride of the Living Dummy, there's this huge twist that I'm not going to talk about. It's really a fun twist, I thought. I really liked the ending, how they sort of had a monster battle that I'm not going to talk about. I really like that part. But yeah, that's pretty much the Bride of the Living Dummy book. And overall, I thought it was pretty fun. Again, it was kind of like your average Slappy book. So, if you haven't read a Slappy book before, and it's the first time you're picking a Slappy book up, then this one would be great. But I think you should start out with, Night of the Living Dummy and stuff like that before you get into Bride of the Living Dummy, just so you get a little background on Slappy and stuff like that. But I really liked Bride of the Living Dummy. I kind of liked how they explored more of Slappy's origins. I thought that was pretty fun. A lot of fun things are in this book. Definitely recommend it. Again, it's not the best Slappy book. Some of the best Slappy books is like Revenge of the Living Dummy, Slappy New Year. The newest one I really enjoyed. And this one's, again, a pretty good book. A few flaws, I would say. But, it's pretty much your average Goosebumps book, except I think it's a little above there I would probably give this one maybe a 4.1 out of 5 stars, I would say. It's really good, just, you know, not the best in the world. You know, it's kind of average, except a little bit above. But, yeah, those are the Valentine's Day Goosebumps books ranked. In last place, it goes to, obviously, How I Learned to Fly, and first place goes to Bride of the Living Dummy. But anyway, guys, I'll rank your favorite Valentine's Day Goosebumps books in the comment section below. Do you like How I Learned to Fly, Bride of the Living Dummy? Is there any Valentine's Day Goosebumps books that I may have missed? Comment down below. But anyway, guys, that's the end of my video.